And that leads me to the first dilemma, which is basically here. Okay. All right. So.
Great segue.
Actually, great. Okay. So there's so imagine. I don't want to use their names. Adrian. Okay. Meets Diane.
Yeah.
Okay. And she's got a 2-year-old. Okay.
Yeah.
They get together. They've been together now for 11, 12 years.
Oh wow.
That 2-year-old is now 13. Their child is now 11. Okay, so imagine this now. So she's got a kid from a previous relationship.
Who's 13?
Who's 13. His child now with her is now 11.
Yeah.
So there's just 2 kids in the dynamic. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You'll get that. Yeah. Now, the 13-year-old goes to public school. Now, Adrian wants to put the 11-year-old into private school. She says that you can't split the 2 of them up, that they both need to go to the same school, or neither, or that kid doesn't go to private school, as in the kid I've got with her. Okay. Should that dad, Adrian, be allowed to put that son into private school because he can't afford to put the 13-year-old in? So his caveat is that, look, I've always wanted my kid to go to private school. I couldn't afford and can't afford to put the 13-year-old in, but I can afford to put the 11-year-old in. Okay. What should happen in this scenario where Adrian wants to put his 11-year-old in, but the 13-year-old goes to public school?
Yeah.
So I'll throw that to you. You've got 3 dilemmas.
That one is sticky still, isn't it?
No, I don't think.
After you do the gentleman press, there's a bit of sticky one still.
I don't think it's sticky. I look at it. I don't know how you would. If you got with a woman that had kids, from my perspective, and you're with her for 11 years,
that's yours.
That child is yours.
Okay.
So how he's talking about not being able to put, I want to be able to put my kid. Like to me, the 13-year-old is your kid.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't be separating them. I wouldn't get into a relationship with a woman without the understanding that I'm helping to raise your child, and that child I'm going to look at as mine. The fact that the 13-year-old would have been in school earlier anyway is a bit confusing to me as to what you've only just got the P's now.
Yeah, his argument is that he can't afford to do 2, so he's only doing the 1. That's what it is. So basically, he can't afford to do.
So he could have at the point the 13-year-old was ready to go to school. He could
afford to do that one, but he chose to wait because he can't do 2. So therefore, he let the 13-year-old, the 11-year-old go into year 9, and then now, obviously, his whole plan was to put the 11-year-old in.
So he's known this all along.
Yes, so it's not like it's just
fuckery. It's favoritism.
It's favoritism. Yeah. So what are we saying the actual problem is? Is the problem the favoritism, or is the problem that the 2 should not be separated? Because
it's divisive.
Yeah, you can't separate.
So which one is it? No, but is it the favoritism, or is it the fact that the 2 should not be separated? Because her argument to him was that
you can't separate the kids.
So her argument was that one is going to have a better quality of education. That was her argument. That one's going to have a better quality of education than the other won't, and you're going to end up having a disparity between the 2. That was her argument.
You're going to cause resentment between the kids as well.
Yeah,
it's like let's say like if let's say wait
because you use the argument about the football thing. That's what I thought was a good thing to put in. Where one dad was doing all of this football stuff, and doing all of this nice stuff, and you felt you didn't get that same treatment.
It's like, let's say if you had a sibling and you're both similar ages and you had different dads, and that one, let's say on the weekends, his dad is proper, let me take...
No, wait, let's have a dilemma. Wait. No,
I'm going to say that.
We're going to go. Stay with this first.
It's just reminded me of something which might kind of relate to that. So the last time I saw my dad was about 9 years ago. 8-9 years ago in Sainsbury's. Bumped into him in Sainsbury's, called out his name. I don't call him dad, so I called out his name. And I don't call him dad. And he turned around, I went over to him, started talking to him, and Amari and Tyler were with my mum at the time, like queuing up. So I was like, look, you haven't met them, come and meet your grandkids if you want. So he comes over, little introduction. My mum was vexed. I could tell. But anyway, we're coming out of Sainsbury's and we're talking, and he's saying to me, I'm gonna sell my place. I'm gonna sell the place I've got so that I can give money to your sister to get her own place. And I'm like, I'm just nodding, innit? I come away from that, but in my head I'm thinking, wait a minute, you've given me nothing over the years, and you've got the cheek to stand here and tell me you're gonna give my sister X amount who doesn't have kids to start a life, but you're leaving your son, your only son, with zero. Like, to me, as a parent, and parent doesn't mean like, I'm not talking biological, if step parent, whatever. There needs to be unity, especially if you're in the same house. Like, no kid should feel like I'm any different from that.
All right, now, and I agree with that. But this is the caveat now. So this is how
man waited.
This is how the guy flipped it round. Now he said this: if that 11-year-old, was going into secondary school, and the father, said he's going to put that son into private school, fully well knowing that when our 9-year-old becomes 11, we're more than likely not going to be able to put that 9-year-old into private school. Can you now tell that dad that he's not allowed to put that son into private school because the other child ain't going to go to private school?
No, you can't. But
then how can you... Wait. Now, this is the problem. Yeah. How can you now say now that I assume it's me, cannot put the 11-year-old in, but you're telling me that the 13-year-old's dad can do what he wants?
How active is the dad that's outside the house? Active. Okay.
I'm not. No. But here's the thing. We're looking at it as the same, yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you are purposefully within the house separating your kids, that's different. Like we're a family unit, yeah.
But this is the problem. Yeah. You're saying you're saying like no one in the household should feel less than anyone else. Now, if I'm the 9-year-old. And I can see my 11-year-olds in private school. I now become 11. That kid's 13. I'm not in private school. Should you not be telling that 13-year-old dad before that kid becomes 11 that look, it's going to be unlikely that our 9-year-old is going to private school. So if you're going to do that for one, it will never happen. You may have to do for both, which is never going to happen. So my question is, if that dad can put his 13-year-old in.
But to me, I'm explaining it on the basis that within this household, we've chosen to say this child is who gets the money. Yeah? And we're now having to explain that to the kids. You know what? The family that you're around, who look at you as, who you look at as mum and dad or whatever, have decided to favour this child. Rather than the reason why that child is where they are is because of their dad. Yeah? I think that's a different conversation that has less of a blow than knowing, wait a minute, we all live together and you lot have chosen to invest in that child. Would
you have an issue then if your son's getting to 11, for instance, and let's say for instance you've got a lot more money than me, and then let's say for instance you're now saying you're doing this and that for the 11-year-old, but we can't afford for the 9-year-old. Could I come and could the mother of your child come and speak to you and say, look, big man, like, see this Chelsea scout income, this Chelsea football academy that you're doing, as you know, the 9-year-old lost football as well. So if you're going to be taking yours, you're going to have to do for the 9 because it's clearly causing a problem in the household.
Can't really have a conversation with a man that's not the father like that, like outside. But you know what? There's certain men that would actually say you're not. But all right, let's throw something else in. Like, as a man, if you know that another man is funding for your child to do something that you can't afford, are you going to be happy with that?
Not at all.
Now your ego ego-wise, you should be fine if you put your ego aside and put your ego aside. If everyone's dad said, look, I'm going to take yours as well to the Chelsea football academy because I can afford to. Your ego shouldn't say to you, it's cool. If you take your ego aside. But bringing your ego in, it's hell no. In the same way, nobody, because you can't do it and someone else is doing it, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
But once again, I don't think I could tell you that you're not taking your 11-year-old son to Chelsea scouting whatever academy because you're not taking my 9-year-old.
Yeah, no.
And you see the problem.
It could.
The problem also with the ego thing now, you're going to make your son miss out on bare opportunities because of the ego thing, because you feel like, my man is doing more for my child than I am, so now you're feeling like he's looking like that's big bro.
But back to the next scenario, but back to this because these are real scenarios.
Yeah,
Back to this now.
that's a
My
common
question though
thing,
is this:
I
is
can
that
imagine.
when you kind of flip it around the other way,
Yeah.
you can't tell someone's dad
I think
to not do something for that person's child. And I know you say
Yeah.
it should be our child now. So
Yeah.
technically, what you're saying is that 13-year-old should be my child as well now.
11-year deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You should technically yes, but this is the caveat though: is that yes, it should be,
Yeah.
but you cannot tell that 13-year-old what he can and can't do with that 13-year-old's.
I think because
I could never come and tell you.
Of course,
You
No,
can't.
I think you can't
you
tell
know-
another man what he can and can't do with his
No,
child.
I think because both parents are involved, like both dads are involved. I still feel like the dad that's in the house is never gonna replace the dad outside of the house. Like you're never gonna become his dad. So I feel like ultimately because
If with him heavily being involved.
if they're heavily involved as you say they are,
Okay, yeah,
and there's because you can still be dad from outside the house, innit?
my youngest has got a stepfather,
Yeah.
Okay.
so he lives.
But that he will never be dad. Do you know what I mean?
no,
He will never replace you. You only get one dad.
Yeah.
Because you're active.